Hello. Welcome to another edition of Hobby News Daily. I'm still Danny Black. Today I'm joined by my national roommate and friend, John Newman, host of Sports Card Nation. What's up, buddy?
What's going on? Is this card matches?
Is it Hobby Hotline?
I don't know what it is. I got jet
you,
lag too.
you are on Hobby News Daily, Hobby Spotlight, sir.
All right, I'm ready.
You're ready. What do you think of the National?
I liked it. I mean, I know traffic was an issue. I know Wi-Fi. When isn't Wi-Fi an issue anymore? Which I
Um,
don't get because it's 2024. It's yeah, you know that dealers need the Wi-Fi for like credit card transactions, phone to look at your phone. Everyone needs that. The breakers need it for obviously doing live breaks. Like, what year will this be figured out? I guess that would be and that technically doesn't affect me. It affects me the least, but like it's a no-brainer one. The traffic is sort of beyond their control. It's more on the venue and the streets that go into the venue. But Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi, and they have other events in this arena. I'm not familiar with them, so I don't know how the Wi-Fi is for those events. But it's 2024 for crying out loud.
yeah, no doubt. Um, the hotel situation, there was an airport next to a conference center, which are like the two biggest reasons people use hotels for business travel, and yet there's no hotels anywhere near the conference center. I found that to be odd. I'm still in Cleveland. You're back home. My wife is in Cleveland with me. She said the exact same thing. It is just odd that there's no hotels around there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something to do with the zoning, potentially. Again, I'm not,
No
I
research was
don't
done for
know.
that question.
Yeah, and there is land there. Like I'm surprised there hasn't been a hotel come in, buy some land, and say we're staking our claim, and we're going to be the only, at least the first hotel on the block. Like I think it can be done. So I just wonder if there's a reason. Is it maybe some kind of
Maybe you got an
zone that you
idea.
can't?
Maybe we should do Card Mentions Hotel and Suites.
Yeah, I have at least $100 towards that.
We can make it like a theme hotel. Um, or I guess it should be Sports Card Nation. It is your hobby spotlight. By the way, I owe you, and I want to do it publicly. Thank you for sponsoring the Hobby News Daily main stage. Since we're on the YouTube for Hobby News Daily, I want to give
Yeah,
you a
you're
shout
welcome.
out.
First off, you're welcome. That was fun,
It
and
was great.
and I thought it would be cool to obviously highlight Hobby News Daily, right? Um, and some shine on some of the writers that could make it up there, and what we had like 7 or 8. Samuel made a cameo, and so it was fun, and we got to answer some fun questions, and put some shine on a great website, obviously. So there you go.
Uh, can we talk about the movie?
Yeah, we can talk about the movie. I, w-
I'll let you. You were far more involved in this than I was, so I'll let you talk about it.
yeah, the Diamond King screening, which is a movie by Mark Evans about Mr. Dick Perez, hobby icon and artist for formerly of the Hall of Fame, Perez Steel Galleries, but more known for his work for the Diamond Kings and Donruss, and then Tops later on with the Turkey Reds and Allen and Ginter. Um, we wouldn't have the hobby we have today without Dick Perez. His influence, we talk about card art blowing up. He's sort of the pioneer on the
Yeah.
hobby side of things. So, and many of those artists actually point to him as some of their inspiration. So, Mark Evans, who's an acclaimed director, has done other films that have won awards. Decided to do this movie about Dick Perez, and I got involved early on. They were on the show twice. I did an on-site interview at last year's national, and have really backed the film. And it's we got to watch it, the screening, uh, pre-premiere of a premiere, uh, and I what was it, about an hour and a half, maybe
Yeah.
hour and 45 minutes, and it was well done. And it was not just about cards, which was cool in itself, but it was about his life and his rags to I guess you could say riches, but overcoming
Yeah.
poverty from Puerto Rico, coming to my home city of New York, and making something of himself. And as he talked about in the film, he wanted to be a baseball player, but with a 188 average, that's not going to happen. So art became his passion. And
And just to be clear, the 188 average was his little league average. He was never a
yeah,
major
yeah.
leaguer,
And
actually.
with all due respect to Dick, if you're batting 188 in Little League, start painting. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Well, he'd be. I mean, he made it to the Hall of Fame as a painter. So
yeah, so it was very well done. It really tugged at some heartstrings too, which kind of I wasn't really expecting that. So I enjoyed the movie, and I enjoyed being sort of a small part of it, behind the scenes, if you will.
without a doubt, um, the numbers. Nothing official's come out. A little birdie told me that they may not have official numbers. That the official numbers may have gotten lost, and they might have to go on estimates and some pre-sales and try to come up with some numbers. Whatever the case may be, did it feel like it was more people than you expected, or as many as last year?
I don't think it was it's hard to tell because every venue is spaced and sized differently, the layouts differently. My gut feeling says they didn't have as many as last year. We both can attest to. We know people who didn't come. That doesn't mean new people didn't come, and that numbers can be
Sure.
offset. But it was big. It was very busy. I mean, it was to me. It was overall the show itself was a successful show. I know the dealers I spoke to, um, many even early on Wednesday and Thursday said like if they didn't make another sale, and again this is Wednesday or Thursday, they were golden.
Wow.
And so I spoke to people today, and then even yesterday, Saturday, and I didn't have one dealer that I talked to said they had a bad show. I heard dealers talking amongst themselves, pretty happy about how the show was going. So from that aspect, it was a successful show. It was well attended. Whether it breaks a record or not, I mean, sometimes we put too much on emphasis on records, right? The American League home run record is 60, whatever Aaron Judge hit, 62. Someone hits 45 home runs, that's a heck of a year. So
Yeah.
sometimes we put too, I get records are important, but this was a well attended national, whether it breaks a record or not.
Buck Showalter has a famous saying, "Don't overlook an orchid to find a rose."
Yeah.
So
So I think, whether we see another one in Cleveland, I don't know. The next three, are Chicago. Um, a
triple header.
little further for me, and a little more costly, but it is what it is, right? We plan on it every year. I just have to save my pennies, collect some bottles and cans, and
Just
make
just
our way.
just hitchhike. Put the thumb out.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if anyone's picking up this guy. It's
Uh,
probably pretty scary.
well, you can tell them you won't stop for lunch and you can drive home with only one pit stop, which is
Yeah,
incredibly impressive, by the way.
yeah.
Uh, the layout of the room. Did you like how one side was more the breakers, corporate, and one side seemed to be uh, more auction houses and dealers?
I did. As someone that doesn't partake in breaks and that doesn't do anything or move my meter, I don't have to go to that area. Now I went to the area because you're there 6 days or whatever it was. you're going to wander into an area whether you like it or not. But yeah, I didn't have to. So that sort of a limit, when I'm trying to cover everything and see every table, it was nice to like avoid maybe that area if I had to. So I like that. If someone doesn't want to see breaking or doesn't participate, they can completely avoid that area. So I personally like the setup.
Even though the lines were ridiculous, I thought it was very cool the way they had the food trucks instead of the regular convention center, a hamburger, hot dog, uh, rubber pizza offerings.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm a guy that skips lunch and
Well,
survives on.
I don't know how you do that, by the way.
Yeah, survives on Kind bars and some water or Monster Energy, and then make up for it at dinner time. But walking by those food trucks, I can't attest to the quality of food. It smelled great, and you had 6 or 7 different choices of types of food, from pizza. I seen gyros. I seen tacos. So whatever the flavor was that you were in the mood for, and if you're a dealer that has to eat there every day, right? You don't
Yep.
have to eat the same thing every day, which is nice. So I thought the food was the best out of all the venues I've been, which is Chicago, Atlantic City, and now Cleveland. I thought the food situation in Cleveland was very well done. And food trucks are cool. I mean, just the whole concept, you know,
They are.
it's a cool concept. So, I mean, here at Syracuse, we have like food truck festivals. So it's sort of a mini version of that.
Um, I very much enjoyed getting to see people as much as we did. The hobby can be very big and very small all at the same time. But even today, both of us stopped by for a quick, you a little bit longer than me, but for a little while, and I was still seeing people and catching up and running into people at the airport. My son flew out and my wife flew in and ran into people in the airport. Shout out to Greg Kreinler, one of the best sports artists. Speaking of sports artists, so
My wife from Brooklyn, just
of
so
course he's from Brooklyn. Yep, shout out.
uh,
Uh, but I really did. I'm going to do more about this later, but I actually did not buy or sell a card the entire time. So it was spent really, between, business and networking, but friends and, our nights, I think every night we were doing something social with friends and people in the hobby. And I found it one of the most enjoyable nationals I've been to.
I had a lot of fun. Probably the healthiest I've been in the last couple. So that was sort of nice. I don't know what it is with National Week and me, but yeah, I agree. Met a lot of new people. Met a lot of people again. We had our hobby hotline dinner as well, which has become a Saturday tradition now. It's kind of like the Masters tradition, unlike any other. And yeah, it was definitely fun. Again, the week goes quick. It's a quick week, and here we are. We're counting down the days to Chicago, which is at 365 at the time of this recording.
Luckily, there's no players that have uniform numbers that large, or you'd already have it on social media.
I'll find something if I had to, but
Right.
I'll wait till it gets into like double digits.
Okay, so let's pull the curtain back a little bit. We did room together. My son joined us. So we experienced Cleveland. I think we saw the same sights. We did the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We went to a Guardians game. What do you think of Cleveland? What do you think of the Rock and Roll Hall? What do you think of Progressive Stadium?
It's a great city. I mean, driving through it for some of the places we went, the houses were very nice. For the bad rap that Atlantic City gets, I didn't see that, where we were anyway. I'm sure there's a bad neighborhood in Cleveland. But we went through a lot of good neighborhoods in Cleveland. We didn't go to it, but the Christmas Story House is also in Cleveland. You got the Rock and Roll Hall, which we did do. We went to Progressive Field for a Guardians versus Tigers game, and that to me that's a good city when you can partake in some other things outside the National. That I guess if there's a bag on Atlantic City, there really is no sports teams there. You got some casinos and maybe some not so great neighborhoods. So Cleveland's just like Chicago is going to offer you sports, some nightlife, and other. You got a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which was I thought was very cool. So um, I would love to go back to Cleveland. Obviously, I can drive it, which makes a big difference. I would go back to Atlantic City, where many others would nix that. So, and Chicago, I'll be there, but it's the one that cost me the most money.
I don't want to miss the National, but with three in a row in Chicago, I wonder if the novelty is going to wear a little thin.
Yeah, that's a great point by you. I didn't even really think of that. If you have it in the same place like consecutively, I agree. It makes you wonder, like, it'd be nice to see Chicago, another city, then Chicago again, rather than Chicago, Chicago, Chicago. We're not doing a musical. So, I personally would. I'm not against Chicago. It's a great national, but
Absolutely.
I would like to see some other cities get involved, including your own, Baltimore. It's been in Atlanta, you know, and let's give
Yeah.
some, even though it would probably cost me even more money. How about the West Coast? They have to travel probably more
Let's
than
not get carried
anybody.
away. Let's not get carried away.
I'm just trying to
Um,
be fair.
a little bit of news came out. It was less news than I was expecting, but Burbank Sports Cards did announce that they're going to be moving off other platforms, most importantly, probably eBay, and going to Fanatics Collect. Uh, I mean, Fanatics seems to just be making all the right moves for their goals.
Yeah, I'm sure there's an agreed deal. I'm sure Rob is, let's be honest, is getting probably a sweetheart deal, and I just don't want to be the guy that has to put all those cards back on a different platform. So
That
I
might be
feel
the
bad.
deal. It might not be
Yeah,
financial. It might be we'll just list them for you.
yeah. I don't know if you can transfer them just for like a push of a button, or I don't know how on mascot works with that. Like, there's a lot of questions here how that transition goes. But if you have to manually enter those again, that guy right now, that guy's putting in his like 2 day notice.
Can you imagine waking up and reading that if that was a job?
And that you're the guy that does those.
But eBay has taken some hits recently. Um,
Yeah, I
I,
mean, when you're the best, right? Let's be real. When you're the best, you're what people are shooting for. It's like when a sports team wins a World Series, that's who everyone circles on their schedule, right? To be the best, you got to beat the best. So they have a target, but there's a good reason for that because they're number one. Now, can they maintain that hold on that position? When stuff like this happens, it starts to chip away. And if this continues to happen, then we can look at this and say, maybe there's going to be a play for that spot. But don't forget eBay does other things besides sports cards. So they're probably always going to be the number one marketplace, but
without a
will
doubt.
they be the number one marketplace for sports cards? So that's what I think Fanatics Collect is trying to take over. Fanatics Collect is not going to be bigger than eBay overall,
Yeah.
but they're trying to be the big man on campus in the hobby realm.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask the obligatory question of what was one or two things that you saw that was very cool.
Oh, very cool. I mean, some of the displays were, wild card. I'm not a big wild card guy. I mean, they had like a carnival atmosphere. They had a wheel. They had big colorful walls. It felt like the lobster man was back there. Like you could see him. You know, um, there was nothing. I mean, obviously the roof jersey, right?
Yep.
At Heritage, the cold shot jersey. They had a Jackie Robinson game used jersey, which I got close to, and one of the guys in the suits really was eyeing me down. Um, so stuff like that you don't see all the time, right? The Dorothy's ruby red slippers, if you're a Wizard of Oz fan, which is a cool piece of Americana. That's not necessarily hobby related, but I mean, you don't. Anyone in the hobby is you know, I don't care what age you are, you're probably familiar with those and what they mean to the movie. So, just cool stuff like that you're not going to see at your regional show or your local show, obviously. And a lot of the other displays, I don't want to just say what just wild card, but for I always view them as a small company, but you never know it by looking at their layout. And there
Oh,
were others, whether you want me to mention them, there were others that are more established companies that really didn't utilize their space very well. I didn't see cards. It was
yeah.
kind of odd. Like if you're gonna set up at the National, like and pay what you're gonna pay for your setup,
That's
get your
exactly what
stuff
I was
out.
thinking. You don't
Get
want
your
to waste the
stuff out
opportunity.
there. I mean, yeah, I mean, get your stuff out there and show people what you have to offer. So that was, with certain companies, that was very odd to me. And then you got Wildcard, who you don't think of along those lines, and they had it was colorful. That and they're getting in, and everyone thinks they're just football. They're doing some not non-sports actors. There was a Clint Eastwood card on that wall, signed card. So that's an interesting thing is outside the sports realm, you're gonna have a lot of companies making non-sports type cards, competing. Where Fanatics is going to kind of here in a year or two really lock up and tighten down on the sports end. The non-sports end is going to be 10 or 12 companies all battling to see who can make the best products, and that should be kind of fun, especially if you collect some of that stuff.
Well, I know that you definitely have gone into some vintage non-sports, so it'll be interesting to see if that market becomes even hotter with the modern.
I think it will tend to as more people, if you even if you get into it on the news side, like any aspect of the hobby, some people are going to go backtrack and try to start and get some of those stuff that they missed because they weren't doing it yet. So yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that's going to be a benefactor of the non-sports explosion.
All right, my friend. Any last thoughts on the national this year?
I thought it was good. I mean, listen, I don't care what venue you have it in. It's not a utopia. There's going to be issues. I thought once you got in the building, with the exception of the Wi-Fi deal, I thought it was great. Again, the Wi-Fi doesn't affect maybe me or you in the same way as a dealer or breaker, and that sort of thing.
Or my son?
Yeah, but it's important, right? It's important to the people doing business in that building. So I hope in 2025, they catch up with modern technology. And so we don't have to talk about Wi-Fi every year. So, but I have a feeling we probably will.
All right. I'm going to ask you a question that I don't know if I've ever asked you, or it's certainly been a couple of years. Tell the people where they can find you, John.
It's very simple. This is about the shortest winded I get to be. It's if you Google Sports Card Nation podcast, everything will come up from YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all the podcast platforms, website, Sports Card Nation podcast, and you'll have a lot of things to click if you so choose.
And your release schedule. What's your release schedule so everybody knows?
So Fridays, Sports Card Nation, every Friday. That's an interview show. Monday will be either a Hobby Quick Hits, which is just me and Shorter, or every other week you get me and Danny on Card Matches, which is recorded or done live on every other Friday and then released on the following Monday in audio form, which has become the longest show on the platform now. So but well received.
Wow.
And, that was one thing too with this national. I think you can agree. We had a lot of people come up to us and, said they really appreciated and enjoyed that show. And, we have fun doing it. It's nice to know other people have fun listening or watching it. So, that's always pretty cool.
I will say that the amount of outpouring of people who said they get a kick out of card mentions was very touching. I think you and I did it just originally as a labor of love to the hobby, and it's become its own community. So appreciate everybody who did say something, and
Yeah,
I
no doubt.
appreciate you, my friend. It's been a while. It's good to actually make this somewhat formal, or as formal as you and I can get.
Yeah, this was. I know it has been a while. Yeah, I like it when the tables get turned on me.
Well, there you go. All right, John Newman, host of Sports Card Nation. Thank you very much for joining us. And to everybody else, I will see you on the next episode of HobbyNewsDaily.com. Take care.